Oppenheimer has blitzed the awards season, taking 7 Oscars, including one for Best Picture.
Oppenheimer is one of the biggest films of the decade. So why hasn't it been shown in one of the biggest film markets in the world, Japan? It's not because Japan shies away from films about nuclear weapons, although that's part of the story. And like most things in modern life, this story can be told with a meme. This meme, one of many to plague our social media feeds during the Barbenheimer craze. In case you missed it, Barbenheimer began because a camp blockbuster about a toy and a dark atomic bomb origin story were going to be released on the same day. The internet had a field day. There were jokes, costumes, and plans to watch both films back to back. But when a Warner Brothers marketing account liked this meme, well, it didn't go down too well in Japan.
That caused quite a stir here on the internet. Millions of people shared these posts that were talking about how horrible it is that Americans are making these Barbie atomic bomb jokes. Pretty much common sense in Japan that you're not going to make jokes about nuclear weapons, especially the person who created the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima.
Oppenheimer opened across Asia in August 2023, but not in Japan. In fact, it wasn't scheduled to hit their cinemas until the end of March, conveniently after the Hollywood awards season. And a social media mishap wasn't the film's only issue in Japan. Let's jump back to 1945, when the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 200,000 people were killed, most of them civilians. Children playing in the streets had their flesh burned into oblivion. Entire neighbourhoods vanished. Families were killed one by radiation. And the man who led the effort to develop this terrifying new weapon, well, he was J. Robert Oppenheimer.
We knew the world would not be the same. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Christopher Nolan's film follows Oppenheimer throughout the development of the bomb and its aftermath. The 3-hour epic is packed with political intrigue, philosophical musings, and scientific tidbits. But there's one thing Nolan doesn't show.
In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and how A-bomb affected people there, and it didn't really show that part, and only saw Oppenheimer kind of horrified to see it. That part was a little bit disappointing.
Nolan says he deliberately zeroes in on the perspective of Oppenheimer, a man who, despite his work, only found out that the bomb had been dropped from the radio.
Everything is his experience, or my interpretation of his experience. Because as I keep reminding everyone, it's not a documentary, it is an interpretation. That's my job.
Japanese filmgoers know that they're not going to get a Japanese perspective in the films, and they are used to decades of films that would often depict Asians or Japanese people in a very biased way.
I'm just trying to figure out what this film is saying and what kind of an impact it had on the Western audience, because most Americans are taught that the A-bomb, was justified because it stopped the Pacific War. I don't think that the film negated that. Probably more reinforced it.
I think people who go to see this film in Japan, they'll see that it's actually a film that shows nuclear weapons in a very scary way, and it shows the moral struggles that scientists involved in the creation of these weapons, what they felt afterwards.
Nolan is just the latest filmmaker trying to make sense of the bomb. In the 1950s, Japanese films like Children of Hiroshima and Hiroshima chronicled the intense human suffering caused by the bomb. And just like Oppenheimer, they don't tell the whole story.
Because they were made during the period of occupation, the US occupation of Japan. So it was impossible for them to directly criticize the US.
The Cold War was filled with films warning about the perils of nuclear war. And films like the gut-wrenching 1983 adaptation Barefoot Gen aren't shy about showing exactly what will happen should the bomb be used again.
People across the political spectrum have all seen when they were growing up. Even younger people have seen it today, and it is quite gruesome. It is quite scary. It shows people's skin melting off. It's not shying away from what these bombs do to human beings, and that has, a huge effect on viewers compared to a film that doesn't show anything of what happened.
Regardless of what Japanese audiences make of Oppenheimer, many will still want to see it. And even if they feel it lacks the true horror that films about the bomb deserve, at least it reminds us what happened in 1945.
I'm a little bit puzzled, why people kind of watching the film as something of the past, because it could happen now. I would like to see more of a debate about the film, what the A-bomb was, what are we going to do with the nuclear weapons. If that film kind of stimulates that kind of a debate, it'd be kind of worth watching.